This is a school nestled right in the heart of the city known as the Pinnacle of Hope, a place gathering the brightest students, honing their extraordinary talents. Privileges abound here, yet our protagonist Makoto, with his utterly ordinary abilities, is admitted not by merit, but by sheer luck, a lucky draw, or maybe just fate's cruel joke. On his first day, he steps into this world believing his life is about to change forever, and change it does, though not as he imagined. Suddenly dizziness overtakes him, and darkness swallows his senses. At that moment, his mundane life officially vanishes. No luck brought him here, only relentless misfortune. He wakes up in a classroom mostly sealed tight. Venturing into a larger room, he finds many others trapped here too. There's the wild-haired guy, a master fortune teller, the shaved-head boy, a hardcore otaku, the red-eyed youth, a strict disciplinarian, the twin-tailed girl, a supermodel, the petite one, a genius hacker, the stylishly dressed fellow, a gambling ace, the tough-looking guy, a reckless street racer, even a high schooler with a wife, he's a pro baseball player. And then there's the kind-hearted girl who's clearly a swimming ace named Ai, the big guy, a martial arts expert, the little girl in uniform, a bookworm, the bespectacled youth, the super manager Tagami, and finally, Kyoko, the sharp-tongued question queen. Makoto unexpectedly reunites with his middle school acquaintance, Saka the idol. They wonder aloud why they are here, yet no answers come. Suddenly, a voice claiming to be the principal echoes through, introducing this as the opening ceremony. Everyone feels normal until the principal appears, a chubby bear mascot with a protruding belly button. It announces they will live here indefinitely. How long, no one can say. The school's budget is vast, so comforts are assured. The entire place is sealed and locked down, so escape is impossible. If they want out or to call for help, they must kill at least one person. Everyone thinks it's a joke until it's not. The tough guy demands seriousness here. Killing is no laughing matter. The bear's sensors beep, detecting a rule violation. Told to toss it away, the bear promptly explodes, then reassembles, warning them not to break rules or face punishment. Shocked, no one can believe they must kill to survive. Tagami, the manager, doubts anyone would be so foolish to believe this. They try breaking the door, with the martial artist's power useless. Each is handed an electronic notebook, but it offers no clues on escape. Tagami suspects a killer lurks among them and insists on going alone. Suddenly, the tough guy storms in, starting trouble. Makoto tries to intervene, but is floored with a single punch knocked out cold. Awakening in a room, he finds Saka again. She'd asked the martial artist to bring him back. Astonished that a famous idol like her remembers a nobody like him, Makoto feels a flicker of hope. Saka decides to become Makoto's assistant in their quest to escape. Together, they reunite with the others. The tough guy apologizes, but Makoto holds no grudge. In this nightmare calm, heads are rare treasures. They agree no one would dare kill in front of everyone. Sharing discoveries, they find the iron doors unbreakable. Stairs to the second floor locked behind another iron door. The chilling truth settles in: this is no ordinary school, but a cage where survival demands sacrifice. Every glance hides suspicion. Every heartbeat echoes tension. Who will falter first? Who will rise above the darkness? As the shadows gather, Makoto's ordinary life fades further, replaced by a storm of despair and fragile hope. Will he become a beacon, or be consumed by the abyss? If you've ever felt trapped by impossible odds, take a breath. Sometimes the greatest strength is found not in power, but in the courage to keep moving forward. And if you find yourself lost between choices, remember, even a single spark can ignite a path through the darkest night. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Back in the kitchen, the food supply was plentiful, but with 15 people trapped here, who knows how long it would last. Yet they weren't worried meals arrived daily. For now, they were prisoners with no escape. Tagami reminded everyone about the grim rule: to survive, someone had to die. This sparked outrage. Supakato argued they should adapt to living here and set a new rule: no wandering around at night. At night, fear usually rules, but this rule could bring peace. Still, since it wasn't official cooperation, was voluntary. The next 2 days dragged on dull and uneventful. Kumar sensed why nothing happened. No one had the drive to break free yet. It summoned them to the AV room, handing each a disc filled with their personal motivations to escape. For Makoto, it was all about family, while the others watched in dread, faces pale. Saka panicked and fled, forcing Makoto to chase after her, promising to help her escape, leading to a heartfelt embrace and tears. When Makoto returned to his room, he discovered cameras hidden everywhere. A note warned that water would be cut off at night and the girls' bathroom was locked. Each room contained items that could be used as weapons, leaving them to decide how to utilize them. As Makoto prepared to shower, he found the lock jammed. The bear entered, revealing that the lock was misaligned, requiring a slight pull to open. Out of all the rooms, his was the only one malfunctioning. What bad luck. Later, he encountered Saka, who seemed uneasy. Someone had knocked on her door earlier, but there was no one when she opened it. She wanted to stay the night, and though Makoto thought they would share a room, she simply requested to swap rooms with him. He reluctantly agreed and showed her how to operate the faulty lock. He then spent the night in Saka's room, becoming her source of comfort. The next morning, he awoke to gather with the others. Some had arrived early, while others trickled in just before the meeting. Tagami and Saka were still absent, and as Makoto's worry grew, he rushed to check her room. What he found was a scene of chaos, blood, and signs of struggle. In the shower, he discovered Saka's lifeless body. Shocked, he fainted and woke up in the gym, where everyone had congregated. They insisted that Saka was truly dead, and the bear had summoned them all. Makoto suspected the bear itself had committed the murder, but it claimed innocence, stating it was against its own rules. It asserted that one among them was the real killer. Though many were skeptical, the truth loomed over them. Tagami speculated the murderer must have met certain criteria for graduation, but the bear revealed another condition: the murderer must escape detection. After the crime, they would enter a class trial to debate the evidence. If the culprit was found, they would be punished. If they escaped detection, everyone else would face dire consequences. Supermodel protested, unwilling to participate, but the bear warned that defiance would lead to their demise. In a shocking display, it executed Supermodel on the spot, demonstrating its seriousness. With one less suspect, Super Gambler urged everyone to focus on identifying the murderer. Suddenly, a digital notebook updated with details of Saka's death, and Makoto became the prime suspect since the body was found in his room. He explained the room swap, but they were still doubtful. They proceeded to investigate his room, the crime scene, and Kyoko uncovered the truth behind the room exchange. Makoto later found Saka's disc in the trash. It revealed her band had disbanded, and he pondered the reasons behind it. The bear, feeling impatient, called for the trial, and as the last to arrive, suspicion fell heavily on him. The disciplined youth resisted hasty conclusions. Upon entering the trial room, Kyoko urged him to prove his innocence, for his life depended on it. The bear provocatively asked for their thoughts on the crime scene, which resembled a grotesque version of itself. They questioned the inclusion of the deceased's image in the trial, to which the bear replied that even the dead deserved to be seen. Yet the mystery deepened. Why were there 16 gallows when only 15 students were present? The bear claimed it was for symmetry. Thus, the trial commenced. Makoto realized the true culprit was among them, understanding the weight of his actions. He needed to identify the murder weapon. They deduced the kitchen knife was the murder weapon, meaning anyone who entered the kitchen the previous night could be the killer. Super swimmer and martial artist had been there, but Makoto had not proven his innocence. However, Super swimmer suggested they could be colluding, but only the true murderer would be spared, and protecting one another was futile. The only other person in the kitchen that night was Sadaka, who had indeed entered and had a knife go missing afterward. It seemed likely she took it for self-defense, which left Makoto still under suspicion. Kyoko devised a plan to prove Makoto innocent. The bathroom door where Sadaka was killed had been pried open, and only the girls' bathroom was locked. Makoto's room had a unique lock which only he knew how to open. Thus, the culprit must have been unaware of the room swap. The only way into Sadaka's room was if she had let someone in. When Makoto was discovered absent from the kitchen last night, he found himself in the crosshairs of suspicion. The idea of covering for each other seemed futile when only the true culprit would earn their freedom. The only other person in the kitchen that night was Sayaka, who had left behind a missing knife. It appeared she took it for self-defense, leaving Makoto still under suspicion. Yet Kyoko had a way to prove Makoto's innocence. In the bathroom where Sayaka was killed, the door handle had been pried open. The girls' bathroom was the only one with the lock. While Makoto's room was an exception, his lock was misaligned, known only to him. The killer had clearly not been aware of the room swap between Sayaka and Makoto. The only way the murderer could have entered Sayaka's room was if she had let them in, as the door was impenetrable. Kyoko discovered a note from Sayaka intended for someone who had mistakenly entered the room Makoto had switched with Sayaka. The nameplate outside had been swapped as well. Aside from Makoto, only Sayaka was privy to this arrangement. Tagami was convinced Sayaka had orchestrated the murder, aiming to frame Makoto. It seemed Sayaka had plotted the crime, but underestimated the very fool she had tried to manipulate. Makoto's desire to protect her clashed with Tagami's reasoning, leaving him speechless. The adept baseball player concluded that, with no further evidence, Makoto had given up holding onto Sayaka's last message, a string of numbers that, when reversed, spelled out Lion, the name of the baseball player. Lion, drenched in sweat, felt the weight of accusation, but insisted Makoto was wrong. Makoto pressed him for information about the scorched shirt and the shattered glass ball near the incinerator. The murderer, after killing Sayaka, had tried to destroy the evidence by burning the bloodied shirt. Unable to activate it remotely, they had tied the glass ball to Lion and tossed it to trigger the incinerator before discarding the shirt. The details of the crime scene revealed that after slaying Sadaka, the perpetrator had taken the blood-stained shirt to the incinerator for disposal. But the remote activation had failed, forcing the culprit to tie the crystal ball of the fortune-telling youth and hurl it into the switch before tossing the shirt into the furnace to incinerate the evidence. Such precision could only belong to the skilled baseball player Leon. Despite the evidence, he refused to admit guilt and continued to defend himself, prompting Makoto to demand he retrieve his equipment. The real killer had used a tool set to pry open the bathroom door, so if Lion wasn't the culprit, his tools would be untouched and new. No excuses could mask the truth, and Lion's denials crumbled. He was sentenced, but clung to the belief he was the victim, acting only in self-defense. Yet this place had its own laws. Lion was guilty in their eyes. A monstrous bear dragged Lion to judgment, bringing him to a baseball field. Under blinding lights, a cannon fired iron balls relentlessly until the ammo ran dry, and so did Lion's life. Despite taking a life, the bear remained cold and warned, "Stay smart. Live here forever, but don't kill each other anymore." Meanwhile, Makoto's heart burned with bitterness. Sadaka was a betrayer. Makoto's pain was sharp, but Kyoko urged restraint. Vengeance could wait. That night, Kyoko visited Makoto, revealing Sadaka's final moments were filled with regret. Sadaka had thought of Makoto, felt guilty for deceiving him, and left a message to help him overcome the pain. She believed Makoto would rise stronger, never forget the fallen, and carry their memories until they escaped this nightmare. With the first case settled, the bear opened the path to the second floor. No one expected Sadaka to be the spark that ignited it all. Tagami remained stubborn and uncooperative. Exploring upstairs, they found a letter to the principal, announcing the school's temporary closure for repairs. But the place showed no sign of shutdown. The mastermind had seized it, turning it into a twisted stage for his mad play. Tagami discovered a room stacked with books, a playground for his mind, while waiting for the game to continue. The bear growled in anger at Tagami's callousness, treating the deadly chaos like a game. Yet Tagami wasn't wrong. This was a game where the stakes were life and death. After a heated argument, Tagami left, declaring he wouldn't waste time playing friend to anyone. Even the books seemed to panic and flee. Meanwhile, Oi had invited the girls to swim. At the locker room, they couldn't open the door. The bear explained students needed their digital notebooks to enter. The unspoken rule here boys use. The boys' locker room, girls use the girls, and anyone breaking this faces a 6-barreled gun firing from above, deadly punishment. Plus, students aren't allowed to swap digital notebooks to sneak into the other's room. Makoto noticed Momo, watching Tagami intently from afar. Tagami wanted to slip away for a stinky, suspicious shower, and honestly, who could blame him? Makoto steps outside while noticing a girl utterly smitten by him, her heart fluttering, mistaking Tagami's words as a sign of care. Later, Makoto heads to the cafeteria and bumps into 2 guys, the ultra-disciplined one and the roughneck. Tensions spark between them, leading to a wild showdown, a sauna battle to the death with Makoto caught in the middle as referee. Though the victor remains unclear, something magical happens, like a plot twist from a shoujo anime. These two rivals become inseparable friends overnight. From bitter enemies to sworn brothers in just one night, that's the power of shared struggle. But peace is short-lived. The roughneck calls everyone to the gymnasium. Cutting straight to the chase, disappointment floods the room. No murders have happened in 2 days. So he stirs the pot with a new threat. The most embarrassing secrets of every student will be broadcast to the world if no one dies within 24 hours. Makoto's own secret still wetting the bed until middle school, humbling yet deadly if exposed. Everyone assumes no one will kill over mere secrets, but Makoto's heart pounds with doubt. Optimism feels like a dangerous luxury. The next day, the roughneck announces a shocking development. Makoto joins the gathering with Tagami, heading to the locker rooms where the doors stand wide open for investigation. Inside, they uncover a chilling scene: the super programmer trapped inside the girls' locker room, dead since 2 a.m. A heavy object smashed into their head. The weapon? A weight. The victim was tied up with library string lights. Their digital notebook vanished. The wrestler notes that the spilled coffee stain on the carpet disappeared overnight. A poster of a female model also catches attention. The super gambler recalls seeing the victim carrying a bag that night. Tagami's suspicions point to a mysterious killer named Genocider, rumoured to be one of the students known by police reports for brutally murdering victims, leaving a signature message in blood and impaling them in a cross. Aoi approaches, confessing she locked herself in the library while searching for a book requesting a meeting with Tagami. She vows not to betray him and to stop Genocider's rampage. The roughneck summons everyone to the crime history class. There, they confirm the super programmer died from a weight striking his head in the girls' locker room, making all females present suspects. Yet Tagami insists the killer is Genocider, citing the bloody message and crucifixion as proof. The one named Genocider, Tagami, identifies her as the bookworm who confesses and then collapses, only to awaken with a second personality, the supercriminal. Suffering from dissociative identity disorder, she becomes Tagami's prime suspect. But she calls him an idiot, and Makoto steps up to defend her. This crime scene is different. First, the victim was struck with a weight, not scissors. Second, Genocider only targets boys, never girls. If she wanted, she could have eliminated everyone here with her ever-present scissors. Makoto shifts suspicion onto Tagami, who's familiar with Genocider's methods. Another clue: the string used to hang the victim comes from library lights, Tagami's usual haunt. How did Tagami access the girls' locker room? Makoto recalls the wrestler's remark about the vanished coffee stain and the poster still hanging in the girls' locker room. It seems the murder happened in the boys' locker room, with the scene staged in the girls' to mislead investigators. The victim was actually Chapit, a transgender student allowed in the boys' locker room. Tagami is stunned, but Makoto quickly realizes Tagami isn't the killer. Tagami then admits he found the body earlier and deliberately hung it up to lure the true murderer back. They debate how the killer accessed both locker rooms, exploiting a loophole the roughneck never banned, using the digital notebooks of deceased students. 3 such notebooks exist, but the baseball player's is damaged, meaning the killer is male, using the digital notebooks of 2 dead girls to pass unnoticed. Makoto tries to connect more clues and recalls the super gambler mentioning the victim carried a gym bag that night, yet no one found it at the scene. Perhaps the victim met someone to pick matching gym clothes. Suddenly, the roughneck blurts out a key. Anyone with blue gym clothes is suspicious, though no one had mentioned the victim's gym uniform colour before. The ultra-disciplined guy refuses to believe his sworn brother is the murderer, demanding the roughneck explain himself. Makoto recounts the case. The victim brought gym clothes to the boys' locker room, met the killer, who then struck him with a weight, and staged the scene in the girls' locker room using 2 dead girls' digital notebooks. Cornered, the roughneck confesses he killed Chapit. Everyone votes him guilty, but his sworn brother wants to know why. The roughneck steps up to reveal the painful truth. Chapit grew up tormented by weakness and bullying, choosing to become a girl to escape a harsh reality. This secret is the roughneck's weapon against Chapit, but ironically, it sparked Chap. Its desire to change, the chosen helper, the roughneck himself, someone embodying raw masculinity. Then the roughneck shares his own secret. Once a gang street racer, he and his brother raced for leadership. The reckless roughneck cut off a car, risking everything. Though saved just in time by his brother, the cost was tragic. The brother died to keep the roughneck alive. This dark secret haunts him, locked away from everyone. When Chapek confided in him, seeking strength to overcome her own secret, the roughneck felt jealousy instead, and in a moment of blind rage, ended Chapek's life without realizing. He suffers deeply over his weakness. Kyoko learns he destroyed Chap, its digital notebook, to cover his tracks and act heavy with guilt. This story isn't just a murder mystery. It's a symphony of pained secrets and shattered bonds. If you've ever wrestled with your own hidden scars, let this tale remind you sometimes the monsters we fight are within ourselves. Confronted with the evidence, Lion had no choice but to admit his guilt. The others voted him guilty, but his close friend still wanted clarity. Lion decided to recount the events the night Sayaka had entered the boys' locker room. In a moment of weakness, he struck her with a dumbbell and used the electronic notebook of the two deceased girls to manipulate the scene. With no way to deny it, Lion confessed to killing Sayaka. Everyone cast their votes declaring him guilty, but his loyal friend sought to understand why. Lion revealed Sayaka's troubled past, her struggle with her identity and her bullying. This led her to desire strength and ultimately her tragic demise at Lion's hands, haunted by his own insecurities. Kyoko discovered that Lion had hidden Sayaka's electronic notebook to protect his secret. He learned how to destroy it after accidentally damaging his own in the sauna. Despite his pleas, Lion was sentenced to death, bound to a vehicle by the disciplinary officer. The agonizing truth of their reality was once again laid bare. That night, Aoi sought solace in food to forget the horror. Days later, the third floor was opened for the group to explore. Suddenly, Makoto recalled an odd detail about the gambler wanting her to repeat her words from when they found the mute in the infirmary. She had claimed they would meet a fate similar to theirs if the culprit remained at large. However, no one had informed her of the disciplinary officer's death, and Makoto's recollection seemed to implicate her. Initially, she denied involvement, insisting that the mute had revealed the fortune-teller's name. Makoto suspected they still didn't know her real name, which she presented as a European-sounding alias. However, he recognized it as a facade and demanded she produce her electronic notebook. Acknowledging her defeat, she had long since surrendered to her fate. She finally confessed to stealing the mute's identity to frame the officer, hoping to manipulate Makoto into participating. Her dream of a castle filled with handsome servants lay in ruins. Despite facing death, she remained calm, accepting her defeat while secretly passing something to Kyoko, ready to embrace her fate. Thrown by the bear driving the vehicle into a massive iron sphere. The young man was then forced to become a meal, his cries savoured by the bear. Once again, the disciplined youth brought them back to this harsh reality. That night, Aoi went searching for something to eat to numb the pain of recent events, but instead she witnessed something truly horrifying. A few days later, the third floor opened for the group to explore, though everyone seemed back to normal, except for the disciplined youth who appeared deeply unsettled after witnessing the death of his closest brother. Suddenly, the bear summoned everyone and announced a reward of 20 million yen, 10 million each, for anyone who could graduate and escape. This was meant to motivate and speed up the game. They asked if anyone was struggling financially, but no one dared to answer. Ai shared that last night she encountered the ghost of CH it inside, sending chills down everyone's spine. Then they discovered a laptop in the closet. This room had no cameras. When they turned it on to their shock chat, it had repaired the broken laptop and even programmed an AI capable of self-evolution. Its purpose was to reveal the building's secrets and help them. This was a major breakthrough in uncovering the bear's plan. The disciplined youth asked if anyone hated the bear for killing its master. The AI simulated the bear's voice and offered comforting words, lifting the young man's spirits. Suddenly, he awakened. His hair turned white, eyes blazing red, muttering, "What's 1,000 minus 7? Honestly, I made that part up, but at least he seemed to have shaken off that funeral-like expression." Hope flickered in their hearts. They might just escape this nightmare. Someone decoded another photo showing the 3 dead boys had known each other before an essential secret the bear had hidden. The next morning, Kyoko confronted the chubby otaku youth about sneaking in last night to meet someone. He said he just came to talk since I was both a 2D character and the only one willing to listen to his twisted thoughts. The disciplined youth also stepped out of the bath, admitting he too wanted someone to confide in. Tension brewed between the two, both vying for Ai's attention. Kyoko declared Ai was a shared treasure, forbidding anyone from visiting without notice. This is a fabrication at best. At least he managed to escape that gloomy expression. There was someone left behind, so they held onto a flicker of hope to escape this place. Someone deciphered another picture, revealing that the 3 deceased boys seemed to have known each other beforehand. It dawned on everyone that this appeared to be a secret hidden by the bear. The next morning, Kyoko confronted the chubby otaku about sneaking in the night before. What was he here for? He claimed he only wanted to talk to Ai, who was both a 2D character and willing to listen to the twisted thoughts in his mind. The disciplined youth later emerged from the shower, stating he too wished to confide in Ai. This led to a conflict between the 2 boys, each wanting Ai all to themselves. Kyoko insisted that Ai belonged to everyone, and forbade anyone from approaching without notice. That evening, the fortune teller sought out Makoto's room, pretending to invite him for a shower, but secretly to lure him to a rendezvous point. Upon entering the room, everyone was stunned to find their glimmer of hope had vanished. Both boys wanting to monopolize Ai blamed each other, but Kyoko had warned Ai to make noise if either of them dared to come alone. Tagami suspected one of them could be a spy planted by the bear. The next morning, with few people gathered, the group split up to search for Aoi. They found her unconscious on the 3rd floor, revealing she had been ambushed by something called the Justice Hammer No. 1. They later discovered the chubby otaku had also been attacked by Justice Hammer No. 2, with a nearby camera capturing the moment he was struck by a robot. They decided to take him to the infirmary, and separated to chase down the perpetrator. The group ran into Tagami, and the bookworm joining them in the search. They soon heard Aoi screaming, leaving the chubby otaku at the infirmary while they rushed to check. She claimed she had been attacked again, and the assailant had fled. Suddenly, they heard the chubby otaku yell, prompting Tagami and Makoto to split into 2 teams to corner the culprit based on Aoi's direction. One team went to check on the otaku only to find he had been killed, and nearby lay Justice Hammer No. 3. Aoi instructed Makoto to find Tagami, who ran to the physics lab and discovered the disciplined youth had also been murdered with Justice Hammer No. 4 as the weapon. Super bets pointed to one side, so they went to check on Mappu. Returning to the infirmary, Makoto's group found Mappu dead with the 3rd Justice Hammer nearby. Super bets told Makoto to find Tagami. Makoto rushed to the physics lab and discovered that the disciplined young man had also been murdered with the weapon being the 4th Justice Hammer. Makoto informed Tagami of Mappu's death when suddenly, Super Bets ran up to announce something had happened. When they returned, Mappu's body had vanished. When 2 girls went out to wash their faces, they remembered the bookworm was still unconscious upstairs, so they ran to check, and the disciplined young man's body had disappeared as well. Currently, Kyoko and the fortune teller were missing. Kyoko was with Makoto's group when the crime happened, and since the rule allows a maximum of 2 deaths at once, they had to find the 2 bodies. The group split up to search for the missing corpses. Super Bets found both bodies, and luckily Mappu was still barely alive. He muttered a few words before revealing the fortune teller's name. The group couldn't ignore Mappu's disappearance earlier, so they kept investigating and searching for the missing person. Makoto accidentally ran into Kyoko, who wanted to gather everyone. She had found the robot suit the culprit wore during the attacks. Inside was the fortune teller, who explained he'd been sent a note to meet someone but was knocked unconscious and trapped inside this foolish robot suit. He lost the note and couldn't prove his innocence. He said he couldn't have committed the crimes because the suit was too clumsy to move in. Makoto helped him get out, but Kyoko became a suspect herself. Kyoko then went to the 2 bodies to start investigating and noticed 2 suspicious details. Soon after, they were brought to trial to begin reasoning. Upon arrival, everyone blamed the fortune teller as Mappu had pointed him out and he had no alibi. Super Bets even found the blueprint for the stupid robot suit in the fortune teller's room, solid evidence against him. Makoto argued he was innocent because the handwriting on the note he wrote to the fortune teller was different from that on the blueprint. Also, the mastermind had pushed the disciplined young man's body to the warehouse using a cart found nearby, the bloodied wheel tracks still visible on the floor. No one could have pushed that cart from the first floor to the third while wearing the suit. Kyoko was accused, but she argued that no one could have dragged Mappu's body up to the third floor either. She suggested Mappu might have moved by himself because he wasn't truly dead. Superbets said the death notice came when they found Mappu's body, but Tagami found the disciplined young man's body at the same time. Superbets thought the bear was just lazy and reported all deaths at once. It seemed Mappu might be the murderer of the disciplined young man because there was blood on the glasses when first found in the infirmary, but the glasses were spotless on the third floor. So maybe Mappu took a bag of blood from the infirmary and poured it on himself to fake evidence. Yet it was strange how Mappu could move from the first to the third floor unnoticed. Kyoko also found the note Mappu received from the mastermind tucked in his underwear. Yes, Kyoko had to reach inside Mappu's pants to find it. After piecing things together, it seemed the disciplined young man was killed first. Then, when they discovered Superbets was injured by the first justice hammer, it was likely the numbers on the hammers were just a red herring. After moving the disciplined young man's body to the warehouse, Mappu was eliminated by the true mastermind, who stood behind the scenes. They found a fifth hammer nearby freshly cleaned. Putting it all together, they realized Mappu was just a pawn used by a third party. The bear wanted to wrap things up quickly, pushing everyone to decide who manipulated Mappu, and then discarded him when he was no longer useful. Everything seemed stuck in a dead end, no clues to help. Suddenly, Makoto recalled something odd about Superbets, and wanted her to repeat what she said when they first found Mappu in the infirmary. She had said that if they didn't find the culprit, they'd suffer the same fate. But back then, no one had told her that the disciplined young man was dead. If Makoto remembered correctly, her words incriminated her. She initially refused to admit it, believing Mappu had already named the fortune teller. Makoto suspected they still didn't know her real name. She gave her a distinctly European name, but Makoto knew it was fake and demanded her electronic notebook. Cornered, knowing she'd lost Superbets, stopped denying it and wanted the bear to judge her. The bear revealed she was the mastermind, and her real name matched the fortune teller's. She confessed to stealing from someone and framing the disciplined young man to provoke Mappu into joining her scheme. She'd always dreamed of owning a castle filled with handsome men, but now faced death. Despite the looming execution, she remained calm, accepted defeat, secretly handed something to Kyoko, and surrendered to her sentence. She was to be burned alive, but was instead struck by a fire truck. The item Kyoko received was a key to where the mastermind had hidden someone. Kyoko and Makoto decided to trust each other. Kyoko told Makoto she had discovered a secret room on the second floor inside a bathroom. He just had to push the door to enter. Inside, he found a bookshelf containing the Academy's secrets, but as he began investigating, a mysterious figure knocked him unconscious. The hammer had been cleaned nearby, indicating it was the fifth hammer. After regrouping, they realized the chubby otaku was merely an accomplice manipulated by a third party. The bear didn't want them dragging things out, wanting them to quickly conclude that I was the one who exploited the chubby youth and eliminated him when he became useless. Everything seemed to have reached a dead end, with no clues to aid them. Suddenly, Makoto recalled something odd about Superkato, and pressed her to repeat what she said when they first found Mappu in the infirmary. She had claimed that if they didn't find the culprit, they'd share the same grim fate. At that time, no one told her about the disciplinary youth's death. If Makoto remembered correctly, that statement was an accusation. Initially, Superkato denied it. She insisted that Mappu had revealed the fortune teller's name, so they didn't know her real identity yet. Then she revealed her European-sounding alias. But Makoto saw through it. She knew it was fake, and demanded the electronic notebook as proof. Realizing she had lost, Superkato stopped denying and instead asked Kuma to judge her fate. Kuma confirmed she was the mastermind, and her real name matched the fortune teller's. She confessed to framing someone and stirring chaos to lure Mappu in. Her dream was to own a castle staffed by handsome men, but now faced with death, she remained eerily calm. Accepting defeat, she secretly handed something to Kyoko before embracing her sentence. She was burned alive, even struck by a fire truck. The item Kyoko received was a key to a hidden place. Kyoko and Makoto decided to trust each other. Kyoko revealed she found a secret room on the second floor inside a bathroom. Makoto pushed the door open and discovered a bookshelf holding secrets about the academy. Just as he was about to delve deeper, a mysterious figure knocked him unconscious. When he awoke, all documents were gone. Going to the gym, he heard noises and peeked to see the fighter and Kuma standing ominously. The fighter was confronting Kuma. Makoto decided not to look away this time. He vowed to face Kuma head-on. But Kuma revealed he was holding the fighter's loved ones hostage. Makoto realized the fighter was the traitor. The next morning, the fourth floor of the academy was unlocked. Nothing exciting, just a music room, a medicine storage, and 2 locked rooms, the information processing room, and the principal's office. Kyoko questioned Makoto about yesterday's incident. He recounted being attacked, but hid his suspicions about the fighter being a spy. Kyoko sensed his secret and got angry, feeling he didn't trust her. During a meeting, the disciplinary youth asked the fighter to break down a door, but Kuma overheard and quickly imposed a strict anti-destruction rule. They investigated who was behind the incident and found it was the old principal. Not some intruder, but the former principal, aiming to create a lifelong prison for students after a catastrophe. The darkest, most awful disappointment in human history. This event had shut down the academy and caused this disaster. Kyoko resolved to find the old principal herself. Everyone found a photo of 3 deceased people in the data, all seemingly connected. The principal gathered them and revealed there was a mole among them, and it was none other than the fighter. How to handle her was up to them. The fighter didn't deny it, but Makoto thought she was coerced, held hostage to force compliance. Realizing Makoto had overheard everything, she didn't hide anymore. She confessed she was planted here to incite violence if no one stepped forward to kill. Tensions flare between Tagami and Aoi, one determined to protect Fencer, the other suspicious of her. Aoi retreats to her room, while Tagami is labelled a manipulator playing with others' feelings. The next morning, Aoi suffers an attack by the murderous persona of Bookworm during an argument about Fencer. Makoto rushes her to get help, and upon hearing this, Fencer vows vengeance on the hateful culprit, but the group holds her back, convincing her to stay calm. Kyoko informs Makoto about who summoned both of them, saying they want to fight alongside the group and need to be taken somewhere with a connection portal. Makoto recalls a secret room with a spot to plug in a connection device and quickly arranges to bring the fighter there. She promises to unite with the fighter and help everyone escape. The next morning, Aoi finds Fencer motionless in the restroom. Makoto breaks down the door and discovers she's dead. Aoi alerts everyone while Kyoko and Makoto start investigating. They notice the victim suffered 2 blows to the head, blood in her mouth, and unusual yellow powder on her shoes. The door was blocked from the inside. Nearby, several bear-shaped bottles, an upside-down magazine, a bloodstain beside the shelf, and a shattered bear-shaped bottle on the floor add to the mystery. Aoi brings the remaining 3 suspects to the scene, convinced one of them committed the crime since Fencer had arranged the meeting. Kyoko discovers more of the yellow powder with thick prints on it. Gathering all the evidence, they prepare for a trial regarding the trio who were summoned. Tagami doesn't show up. Bookworm, afraid, arrives early and hides in a closet, witnessing the fortune teller arrive. Still scared, Bookworm hits Fencer on the head with a jar. Makoto reveals Fencer was struck twice, so Bookworm blames the fortune teller. But the fortune teller admits to only 1 hit done out of fear. Tagami wants to know what happened after the fortune teller left, but Bookworm can't remember. She fainted upon seeing Fencer. The murderous persona takes over and says that when Bookworm regained consciousness, she was so terrified she struck Fencer a second time. But Aoi pushes to accuse her immediately and demands the bear jar to deliver judgment. Makoto senses Aoi's urgency is unusual. Something feels off. If Fencer died right after the hit, why was she found dead sitting in a chair when the persona says the blow was near the newsstand? Tagami recalls blood and broken bottles found there. Tagami searches the medicine storage room with 3 compartments for dangerous to harmless drugs. Somehow, there's a bottle labelled poison that he dares to drink, startling everyone. Then, he hands it over for further. Kyoko examined the scene and revealed that this was just nutritional powder. Near the site, there was also a cup of this powder, so someone must have mixed poison with the nutritional powder and gave it to the fighter, causing him to die from vomiting blood. At the infirmary, some yellow powder was spilled, and there were footprints on it suggesting the culprit was in a hurry and accidentally knocked over the medicine. Tagami wanted to collect the footprints for comparison, but Aoi confessed that the footprints were hers. She took responsibility, shocking everyone. Tagami believed her friendship with the fighter was a ploy to build trust, so when she handed over the poisoned cup, the fighter wouldn't suspect betrayal. But Makoto found it strange if Aoi really poisoned the fighter and left after killing him. Then who blocked the door? Kyoko found broken glass inside the poison bottle. Tagami brought, indicating someone smashed that bottle to make the powder found at the scene. Also, the powder on the fighter's foot matched the spilled medicine in the storage room, suggesting she accidentally spilled it herself. This made sense if she chose to end her own life rather than being murdered. Makoto pieced it together. The fighter tried to call the other three to reconcile, but was suddenly struck on the head for no reason. When Aoi arrived, the fighter asked her to fetch some nutritional powder. Upon arriving, she noticed the poison spilled on the floor and sensed something was wrong. When she returned, the fighter was already dead and the door was blocked. Aoi covered up because she understood the fighter's deep resentment and believed he chose death himself. She confessed to mislead everyone and dragged them all into the tragedy. She then declared the fighter's death was a suicide to end their conflicts. There was no culprit this time. However, someone still had to pay the price of the computer. The bear had somehow discovered Ai's existence, and the computer was smashed from the start. It knew, but pretended not to. Later, Aoi apologized for almost dragging them all to die together, but no one blamed her. That night, Kyoko arranged to meet Makoto in a locked room on the 4th floor, but both were chased away by the bear. Kyoko revealed the existence of the 16th student hiding somewhere in the academy, a figure dubbed the Super Despair. The group then ascended to the 5th floor, where reports showed a greenhouse with a massive tree useless, a chicken coop with 5 chickens, some tools in storage, and a classroom that bore the scars of a massacre. This was the darkest, most horrific moment in human history, a place that haunted anyone who knew of it. Kyoko decided to investigate the classroom herself, but Tagami demanded to know who she was and why she always worked alone. Recently, she'd separated herself from the group to investigate solo claiming memory loss. Tagami didn't buy it and insisted on taking her room key to limit her movements. Kyoko gave it to him without hesitation, choosing to continue her lone mission. Meanwhile, Maki confessed to finding a military knife during the floor search. Tagami took the knife and forbade the fortune teller and Aoi from holding it. They decided to let Makoto carry it since he hadn't yet been involved in any of the crimes. The bear grew angry and summoned everyone to the gym for a meeting. Upon arrival, it revealed something was stolen and a camera damaged. With Kyoko absent, all suspicion fell on her. The bear left and Tagami remarked that only Kyoko would dare such recklessness. Back in her room, Kyoko met with Tagami and revealed finding a key the bear considered a treasure. The fighter helped her unlock the principal's locked office, and from there she stole the bear's key, Bishishi. With this key, she uncovered the 16th student's identity and suspected this figure was the mastermind pulling strings, not the principal. Though she hadn't found much yet, she asked Makoto to distract the bear so she could continue investigating. Aware of the risk, she said, "You've got to go into the tiger's den if you want to catch the cub." Makoto then lured the bear out, buying Kyoko time to sneak in and search for what the key unlocked. Makoto tried to pry information from the bear about the treasure it lost, but the bear called it a secret. He managed only a few minutes before the bear grew suspicious. All he could do was hope Kyoko found what she needed. That night, while sleeping, Makoto saw the masked man from before try to attack him with a knife, but Kyoko arrived and wanted to say something he couldn't hear. The next morning, Makoto checked his locker only to find the knife gone. He searched for everyone, but all were gathered in the gym trying to pry the bear open. Tagami explained he found the bear unresponsive and called everyone. They suspected something happened to the operator controlling the bear. They then headed to the principal's office and ordered Maki to get the crowbar to break the door. But when she returned, she had transformed into a different personality and claimed to have found a body. They went to see the corpse, which turned out to be the masked man and likely a female. She was stabbed to death by that knife. The killer tried to remove the mask, but the corpse suddenly burst into flames. They thought it was Kyoko's doing. Makoto revealed the existence of the 16th student. Aoi recalled the trial room had 16 seats, and the corpse's hand bore a tattoo. They found a key on the corpse's hand, and Tagami knew what it was for. He opened the locked blue room, which was the surveillance hub for the cameras. The bear appeared and said it let them discover this on purpose. It planned to live stream everything, broadcasting the truth nationwide. It called the show The World's Greatest Despair. Aoi thought the police would intervene, but the bear said they'd just see it as a TV drama and no rescue would come. It wanted the investigation to continue. Kyoko returned and confirmed the 16th student's existence, uncovering more clues thanks to the key. They then headed to the courtroom to start the trial. Makoto asked where she had been since yesterday. She said she'd been investigating the second floor. Since the key could open every lock, she wanted to focus on dealing with the bear first before the trial. As the trial began, Tagami immediately accused Kyoko, saying she was the culprit. He argued that at 10 p.m. last night, he and the fortune teller were in the garden and didn't see the body, which was only discovered at 9 a.m. today. But last night they found the bear malfunctioning and spent time trying to pry it open, so they had an alibi. The irrigation system started at 7:30 a.m., yet the body wasn't wet, meaning the crime happened between 7:30 and 9 a.m. Before 7:30, they had been with Makoto. The only person no one saw was Kyoko, but she claimed to have found a plastic tarp nearby, suggesting the killer covered the body to keep it dry. This meant the crime time still had to be after 10 p.m. last night. Tagami's reasoning spun a web of suspicion, but Kyoko's calm resolve hinted at secrets deeper than anyone could guess. The courtroom was charged with tension, every moment a step closer to unveiling despair's darkest truth. With every lock picked, she knew she had to focus on the bear first, before tackling the chaos that lay ahead. As the trial began, Tagami immediately accused Kyoko of being the culprit. He pointed out that last night he and the fortune teller were in the garden, and they hadn't seen the body, which was only discovered at 900 this morning. However, he had found the broken bear last night, and along with the other two had pried it open to uncover its secrets. The garden's irrigation system had been running since 7:30 a.m., yet the body was dry. This meant the time of the crime had to be between 7:30 and 9. Before 7:30, they had all been with Makoto. The only one unaccounted for was Kyoko. But she revealed she had found a plastic tarp nearby, suggesting the killer might have covered the body with it to keep it dry, indicating the murder still had to occur last night. Additionally, the knife was a fake, and the blood was from a missing chicken smeared on it. The true cause of death was the arrows they found, which the culprit had bound with tape and struck the victim with force. All suspicion still fell on Kyoko, as Tagami discovered a keycard in the locker room of Kyoko's classroom. However, she insisted she didn't have the key since Tagami was the one who held it, leaving her with little room to defend herself. Yet she felt compelled to survive and reveal all the secrets. In a twist, she pointed the finger at Makoto, claiming that since he found the locker key, he could have fabricated evidence to frame her. Makoto felt the sting of betrayal but trusted Kyoko's intelligence and instinct. He mused how strange this case was, as the bear hadn't provided them with complete information about the victim, like it had in previous instances. The bear was a riddle wrapped in an enigma. Ignoring Makoto's words, the bear condemned him, dragging him to the execution room. He was forced to sit at a table, sweat pouring, as the execution machine neared. Just when death seemed certain, the screen flickered with the image of someone thought gone forever, saving Makoto from the killing blow and causing him to fall into the abyss below. Everyone watching was stunned by the sudden rescue, but the bear didn't care. Makoto might slowly die down there, trapped in a toxic waste pit. Yet even after the fall, Makoto didn't give up. Finding nothing to eat, he decided to sleep and conserve energy. That night, Kyoko risked everything to climb down and bring him food. She revealed that Makoto should have died that night. The mastermind planned to kill him and pin it on her. But the masked figure was stopped by Kyoko. So the culprit used another corpse to fake the scene, pushing Kyoko into a deadly corner. She was meant to die, but thanks to Makoto's survival, he too became a target the bear needed to eliminate. The fact the culprit had to act personally showed he was cornered too. Kyoko then opened the way for them both to climb up, confessing she'd remembered who she really was, a legendary detective on a mission to find the principal who was also her long-lost father. Together, they reached the cremation room and confronted the bear. The bear believed Makoto's sentence was final, that his execution would proceed. But Kyoko challenged the bear. How would his audience react if he abused power to unfairly condemn someone? She demanded they reopen the case of Student 16. If they won, the bear would free everyone. If not, they'd all face punishment together. Makoto rejoined the others, sharing the gravity of the case ahead. The bear called in, revealing that only 16 students were at the school, no one else. They had to find the culprit among themselves. Also, all locked rooms would be unlocked. Returning to the sealed second-floor area, they found a hallway of classrooms wrecked and an office that seemed to belong to the principal when he taught here. Inside was a computer and a locked file. They tried using Kyoko's name to unlock it, and it worked. A secret room opened, revealing a gift box containing a skeleton. Kyoko was sure it was her father's remains because someone once said he was still somewhere inside the school. But the bear insisted only 16 people had been here since the start, so her father must have died earlier. They also found a phone and a memory card. Opening it revealed a video. The video showed every student had met the principal before coming here and had accepted the risk of living in this place forever. But none remembered this. They must have had their memories erased. Before they could watch more, the bear smashed the video, cutting off the truth. Kyoko then asked to be alone. Tagami discovered information about Student 16 in the document cabinet and was sent a clue by Guma. Makoto went to the library and opened 2 cabinets. One seemed to belong to the fortune teller and the other to Kyoko. He then headed to the morgue where he found Mooks slumped over and woke her up. Afterwards, he went searching for Tagami and questioned why there were 9 corpses in total. Later, they all received a photo showing every student involved in the game, leaving everyone shocked. The group was then brought to the courtroom where they confronted the photo because it was clearly fake. None of them had any memories of the events depicted. Makoto suggested their memories might have been erased as he found Kyoko's notebook, detailing plans to turn this place into a permanent settlement for the students. The video footage left by the principal was also a key point. If these pieces of evidence were true, then Makoto's theory was spot on. Guma admitted they had all lost their memories. But circling back to the main question, who killed Student 16, Makoto argued it was obvious. Guma pointed out that Makoto must have seen the 10 bodies in the freezer, so the culprit was one of 6 people present. However, Makoto clarified that only 9 chambers were active, meaning 1 person was missing, and that missing person was the twin-tailed girl who had been pierced to death from the start. The corpse they found bore similar stab wounds, proving that the twin-tailed girl was indeed Student 16 all along. No one realised this. The assassin had no Special Forces tattoo on their arm, but the corpse did. Kyoko was blamed for wearing gloves, but she explained she wore them due to severe burns when she first started working. Makoto revealed the mastermind had actually swapped the twin-tailed girl's name. Put simply, Guma had assigned his own name to the twin-tailed girl. That's why in photos and videos, the real identity of the twin-tailed girl was deliberately erased. They wanted to hide the truth. The person using the twin-tailed name was actually controlling Guma and was the real Student 16. She knew she had been exposed, so she revealed her true self. She was the twin-tailed girl. The one who died was her twin sister. They had switched places from start to finish. She killed her sister to create the perfect disguise, hiding her real identity. Now everyone wanted to know the purpose of this classroom, so she showed them footage of the deadly disaster they had uncovered. Since only Mooks had lost her memory, they summoned the other personality. She told them the events on the TV were real. They happened in the past, causing Tagami's corporation to collapse. The truth was, they had been studying here for 2 years and had joyful memories in those images. But because their memories had been erased, they misunderstood and thought they had only been here a few weeks. The first year was peaceful, but in the second year, chaos erupted and students began to be killed. This academy had become a sanctuary for the last hopes left in the world. In other words, this was a high-end apartment complex where they lived. The principal had given them this life unaware that 2 deadly threats had infiltrated. Makoto didn't believe it, yet there was no proof. But she insisted they vote and explained the consequences. If they voted to expel her, they would be thrown out into the devastated toxic world outside. Or, if they trusted Makoto and the others, they could stay here and live peacefully for life. Makoto believed she was wrong and began using persuasion tactics, encouraging everyone not to surrender to despair. No matter how ruined the outside world was, they would rebuild from scratch. Those who had died had entrusted their hopes to them. Makoto's hope triumphed. Though she knew she lost, she was strangely delighted. She had prepared her own punishment and revelled in this despair. She then accepted full responsibility for what had happened before and died. Afterwards, the group felt confident enough to approach the gatekeeper and start returning to the world again. No matter how bleak things seemed, they were ready to rebuild hope together. And with that, the story reached its conclusion. This marked the end of the series, a tale of lost memories, hidden identities,